So before I get into the chart, we're just going to have a brief look, and I never normally do this, but because I'm trading this in like a completely different way, I'm actually just investing in this one. I've decided I'm not going to be buying it and selling it here, there and everywhere unless I see some things with some massive warning signs to say get out now. But we're just going to have a quick look at CoinGecko, the basic details. So Swipe, from what I understand, it's going to be a credit card style payment system with a card backed by Binance. I think Visa are involved as well, and fundamentally it sounds like it could be a worthy investment. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, it's not financial advice, and like I say, I'm not going to trade this one because it's too volatile at the moment anyway. I think I'm just going to I'll put a nice amount in, and we're going to see how it runs over the next year or so. So just a few basic details. So we're number 80, ranked number 80, so not too bad, not too good either. The market cap is pretty high, but it's not that high. The circulating supply is quite interesting. So we've only got 66 million out at the moment, and a total supply of 300 million. I don't know if any more come onto the market after that. Sometimes these tokens sort of do that sort of thing, but I don't think, from what I understand, I don't think that's going to happen. So 300 million sounds like a lot, but what that means is it's gonna, I mean, when you compare that to Bitcoin, which is 21 million of them available, and Bitcoin's got an intrinsic value that's obviously very high, much higher than most. This is what, 14 times less than Bitcoin. So you divide Bitcoin for what it is right now 14 times, that could lead you up to around about $700 at its current value per token, which sounds ridiculous, and I don't think that's going to happen. But what it stands at, what I'm trying to get at here is when you calculate the total supply and the mass adoption, which this does have a potential to have a reasonable amount of adoption, and then you think about how that would work out with the value of it, it would suggest to me that actually it is, from what I see here, that it is actually quite undervalued for what it is. Or that could mean that Bitcoin is extremely overvalued for what it is. But read into it what you like. Anyway, so the circulating supply is not ridiculously high for me to imagine areas such as $10, maybe even $100, but much more than that. It would definitely be, I'd say at that point, getting pretty overvalued. So again, I bought into this not so long ago. I'll show you my entry points in a minute, and we're just going to see how this runs. So let's move on to the chart. Welcome back, everybody. Let's have a look at SXP then, for a change. Never looked at this really before until I suppose a couple of days ago I started looking into it, because I like to look at my charts on a daily chart, and I don't really have that access. Even if I go back in time to what this looked like previously, it doesn't offer a great deal of information, because it basically just leaped up massively, and you can't really take into consideration a great deal about where it was before, only where it was since, I suppose, it came onto Binance, really. So this is all I've got to go by. So all this can really do is chart the shorter time frames, because what we've got really is an hourly chart, and an hourly chart's not great, but it is all we've got to go by. However, I've bought into this, and what I've decided to do for this, and I rarely would do this because I like to trade, but I've decided to go in on this one for the long term. Alright, it's a bit of a long-term, it is a long-term hodl for me, this one, and there's not many coins that I do that with, and I don't know if I'll be buying any more of it, but I've got a fair amount, and I think I'm just going to keep it, because fundamentally, from what I've been told, and this is from my Telegram chat, there's a lot of people on there that know a lot more than me, and they've been quite pushy about it, and I've looked into it, and actually fundamentally it's not too bad, and the circulating supply is quite low, and the total supply isn't enormous like you'd see on all these other coins. There's many coins out there that have a total supply of billions, but even hundreds of millions, which is this does have. It's got 300 million from what I understand, but in circulation it's about 66 million, which is still a lot. Anyway, that aside, fundamentally this does sound like it could actually do something long term. It sounds like it might be turning a corner, and I think at the moment it's probably undervalued, but that time will tell. So what have we got to go by? Like I say, we've only got this hourly chart to go by. So what we've noticed is that there's some supports and resistance boxes that we've got to break, and hopefully turn to support. We've not turned either of these to support. What we've done is pumped and dumped and making another run again at the moment. So The first thing to be aware of is that since we've had this, and we had our initial Binance pump, you could call it, like a lot of these sort of things do, it overshot itself, went completely crazy. You can look at this on the money flow index, look at this on the RSI. Even now, looking at the RSI, is very high. And actually, the MACD is a real mess. But you've got to bear in mind this is only an hourly chart, so it's not. You can't really, think about it like that. This is just for short-term time frames. It's 24 hours in a day, 24 of these candles in a day. A lot can happen on a chart like this. It's a very low time frame. I'd never really trade on that. So we've got a descending trend that we broke out of here. So we hit it here, rejected, hit it here, rejected, hit it here, rejected, and we broke through it. And essentially, you could call this a small accumulation phase that it went through, of about a day or so, a day and a half. We've got two boxes of resistance that we have to get through to see continuation. The first box begins at $1.78 and finishes at $1.8586. When we break through there, it should be plain sailing to make our way all the way back up to $2. $2 being well, first of all, just have a look at the reason why this is a box. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rejections from that level, and then when we broke above it, we continued no problem at all. We actually came down to get supported within it, came back down to be supported here, and then broke right down beneath it. And we've not really revisited it since. Now we're stuck with it inside that resistance box. So that's that box out of the way. The next one is going to be the $2 range. $2 psychological number, obviously. So a lot of people will be putting their a lot of the silly traders will be putting their take profit at a flat rate, because people are like that, people just like round numbers. Don't tell me why, but it's the worst thing for you to do if you want to try and take profit. You want to front run everybody, you don't want to wait for the round number. I mean, it's just silly. But that's me just going off on a tangent there. Anyway, so yeah, $2 psychological number. And what did $2 provide us? It was a very first wick was $2 here. Second giant wick was $2 there. More or less, within a few cents, and then when we broke through that, it was all very nice and toppy. Then we came back up to test it here. We came back up to test it here, just to the top of the range, which is around about $2.50, and then broke down beneath it. So this is going to be our next target. So we've hit essentially the main target of where, if I was to trade it, I bought in down here. So if I was to trade it, and want to sell it, then this would be a fine opportunity for you to do that. But for me, like I say, I'm just going to chart this one out as it goes, because I'm just going to keep it long term, because it sounds like fundamentally it could be a decent earner, long term, over a year or so. So I'm leaving it, but I'm gonna do these charts nonetheless, because I know it's margin tradable and there's people interested in that. So at the moment we've reached our first major target. The second major target is going to be $2. And again, if you are, and I'm not a financial advisor, so this isn't financial advice, but if you are leverage trading it and you dare to take a trade at this level that we're at right now, within this resistance area, looking for the next step, then don't be greedy. And don't trade on round numbers, all right? If the target is $2 and that's a psychological number, where do you think everybody else is going to be trading to? Don't trade up to $2. Trade to, at best, pushing it to the extreme, I'd say $1.97 or something like that. Just get in before everybody else is, because that's what people do, all right? So but that's just me, I'm just saying that, because there's nothing worse than coming right up and everybody, taking profit, before you, and then there's all these idiots with sell orders at $2, so I'm just saying, but I'm not playing leverage on this one. I'm just holding it, so I'm not really bothered about any of this. I'm looking to see how this one goes over the period of about a year to 18 months or so. But actually short term I think it could do quite well, but we've only got, what is this chart, let's go to a daily. How long is this chart? How old is this? It's like a week old, and I trade things generally on a daily chart, and when I've got this to look at, this just looks like, it looks like someone sneezed onto the page. There's nothing there, to be honest. That I can't tell you anything from here. There's not even an RSI read. There's nothing at all. So I can't really tell you anything. However, what it does tell you is that on a daily chart we broke out of a descending trend and we've broken above it. So it looks as though we are looking to make some something of it. And you can see it's a little bit, I suppose, easier to see when you look at the support and resistance on this daily chart, as basic and simple as it is. But sometimes basic and simple is all you need. You know, we've got no moving averages on this, we've got nothing. All we've got to go by is supports and resistances that I've put in that you saw from the hourly chart, and now in this sort of like blocky language of a daily chart, kind of makes a bit more sense. So we broke out a descending trend, we launched from it, we came up to a resistance box, and we've been rejected from it, and we're looking like we're looking to close maybe within it, which would be good. If we can have continuation of that all the way up to here, that would be even better. And I'm breaking above here, then obviously the top of the wick is always going to be what we're looking to break. That is the all-time high, and if we can break above the all-time high, that is $2.28. So I don't really need to put any lines on the chart for that. I mean, it's already there. It's not like you have to go back in time to look at it. We know where that is. So like I say, I'm in it, for the long haul, but I'll keep looking at this chart. From what I understand, though, it sounds like an interesting place to put your money. Not a great deal of money. No, I'm a little bit, on the off chance that this is the one thing that gets mass adopted and takes off. And there's every chance that it will. But it hasn't, obviously, now. But like I say, it's a risk, it's a gamble, it's a fundamental trade, and it's an investment, and that's how I see it. Now, just going back to the hourly chart, what we see is obviously everything's looking very high, so it should really come down. But if it were to come down, I'd want to see it supported above this white line, which is the 200 exponential moving average. Also, we've got our green 50 moving average, which is going to move above there at some point, probably sooner rather than later. But from the way it looks here, I'd probably say in about just short of another 7 days. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there, and I'll keep looking at this more frequently for you. Thanks for watching. Take it easy.